Good evening. Welcome to the August 10th East Whiteland Township Board of Supervisors meeting. My name is Scott Lambert. On my right is Rich Orlo and Bernadette Kearney, our solicitor. On my left is Pete Fixler and Township Manager John Nagel. If we can stand and read the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bear with us just a minute. We had a very long executive session that just ended shortly, so we're kind of trying to get in order. So I'll start off with board briefings. We had an executive session held today that began at 5 o'clock, and we talked about legal, personnel, and real estate issues. On a real positive note, I'll turn this over to Greg Lewis pertaining to some new hires.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and the rest of the Board of Supervisors. The purpose here tonight is to highlight a very exciting time within the East Whiteland Township Department of Fire Emergency Services. Seated here to my right is our 3 new full-time firefighter EMTs surrounded by family and friends. Just to give everybody a brief background of this process, prior to 2022, we were staffed at 3 full-time firefighter EMTs, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Through call volume and other contributing factors, we saw the need to up the staffing to 4 firefighter EMTs around the clock, 24/7. The Board of Supervisors graciously approved the process. A process was created through a written test and a physical agility test. Our initial post, we had over 30 applicants. Resumes and credentials were vetted, and we narrowed that process down. We had 8 qualified candidates that went through and passed the written and physical agility test. From there, the 8 candidates went through a panel interview, and then the top 3 firefighter EMTs from that process were selected. On July 11th, firefighter EMT Christopher Plumley, firefighter EMT Cody Gable, and firefighter EMT Daniel Matthews started a 2-week day work orientation process. And on Sunday, July 24th, they were assigned their normal shifts with their rotations. So tonight, what I would just like to do is I'm going to call them up each one by one. I'm going to give them their badge. It's going to go on their Class A dress uniform when they receive those. And if we could just if we could get a group with a couple pictures with the board and so on and so forth. Firefighter Christopher Plumley. Firefighter Christopher Plumley, he comes to us from Sikorsky Fire Department, numerous credentials. He's currently going through his doctorate program for emergency management and planning. Firefighter EMT Cody Gable. Firefighter Cody Gable, he comes to us from the Borough of Phoenixville Water Authority. He has also numerous part-time jobs in fire and EMS. Here with him tonight is his wife Haley, his son Jason, daughter Ella, brother Andrew, dad Jim, Mom Leslie, her husband Tom, sister Ashley, and his friend Rob. Seated to my right. He brought a whole group of people. Firefighter EMT Daniel Matthews. Firefighter Matthews comes to us from the Bristol Township Fire Department. where they run a combination system of fire department, codes inspection, fire marshals, duties associated with that. With Daniel tonight is his wife Kayla and son. So on behalf of my department, I'd like to say congratulations to these 3 firefighters. They're going to greatly benefit this township for many years to come in the community that we protect. Thank you.
Greg, if you keep this up, we're going to have to get a bigger boardroom. Thank you, and congratulations, everyone. I think we've got three great new hires.
Thank you, and you don't have to stay for the whole meeting. That would be going above and beyond.
Is it something I said? Okay, moving on, I would say I've got more good news to talk about. It pertains to the status of the Route 30 corridor and the raise grant. For everyone that's not familiar, is that the township submitted a federal Rebuilding American Infrastructure and Sustainability and Equity grant back on April 14th, which we call the RAISE grant. Reference will be RAISE grant. And it's for up to a $25 million grant from the federal government for multimodal transportation improvements along Route 30, primarily between Church Road and Plainbrook. It's an area that's been designated as having a lot of issues. Anyway, we have submitted, and tomorrow or Friday is the last day that the announcements will be made by the federal government. They are trickling out information at this point in time about who has been awarded those grants. We've been able to get a hold of some of the spreadsheets, some of the information. I can tell you at this point in time, there is $1.5 billion in a pot of money for this project, for this grant program. The last look at the spreadsheet showed that $681,534 has been given out or awarded to 35 different projects throughout the country. That would include $50 million to Senator Collins' area in Maine. Hawaii received 2 grants. Ohio received 3 grants. It's all over the board. Not sure where and when we're going to be, but there have been no awards given out to Pennsylvania at this point in time, so we're waiting to see. I can tell you that I was with Congressman Houlihan's office this afternoon, and they're monitoring it and trying to advocate for us for this grant. So we appreciate all of that help. So that's where we are at this point in time, waiting to find out. Part and parcel to this, during the process of talking about the RAISE program, we ended up going to Harrisburg and we ended up talking with a number of different people, including Deputy Secretary Larry Shiflett at PennDOT. And he felt our project was great, put us in touch with another grant program, and in a matter of 5 days, we were just awarded this afternoon at 4 o'clock, $3 million from the governor's office to help offset any of the costs associated with the RAISE grant program that would not be covered by the federal grant. And a little statement I would like to read out based on that is that on behalf of the township residents, we want to thank Governor Wolf for his support for this important project. We are very thankful also for the support of Congresswoman Chrissy Houlihan, State Senators Katie Muth, Carolyn Cometa, and Republican Christine Howard. I can tell you that also Josh Maxwell and Michelle Kickline were involved with this as well. Their advocacy towards the township residents will be critical as we pursue additional partnership from the U.S. and Pennsylvania Department of Transportation and the Commonwealth Finance Authority. But again, we want to thank them. We are also looking at some additional grant money. So from that standpoint, I think it's a very positive afternoon at this point in time. Rich, any comments?
No, congratulations on the grant so far, and see what happens.
Agreed. I can't wait till Friday.
Great. John?
I think it's been a great team effort. We've reached out to as many people as we possibly can, and I think the leadership of the board, especially the work that Scott has done, is reaching out and meeting with folks across the state has been very productive. So,
Speaker.
pleased to be. Oh, sorry about that. I'm pleased to be a part of the project. I'll do that a lot.
Okay.
Yes.
On another substantial and kind of historic day here with the township, John, maybe you can kind of go over this pending sewer sale situation.
Yes. We received bids on our sewer system and have gone through a significant amount of due diligence between the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission, the Office of Consumer Affairs, the Technical Utility Services. With a fine-tooth comb, this project has been evaluated from top to bottom. The PUC had a mandatory 6-month review period that ended on the 4th. The PUC did approve the sale on that date, and as the agenda states, the closing settlement is scheduled for Friday, and so we're very pleased with the outcome. Not to get into too much of the weeds, Most of that is on our website. At the end of the day, because there's been a lot of speculation about what is going to happen with rates, but if you look at rates over a 10-year period, where actually our residents on average will be saving over $600 in total cumulatively through the sale of the system to Aqua. It is a service that becomes more and more regulated and more difficult for a small municipality like ours to adhere to, and so that was one of the points of our recommendation to the board to consider selling the system. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Moving on, if we can get a short update as where we stand on our campus master plan, which includes the police structure and revision of the admin building. That's part of our campus plan.
Scott, I can take that as well. Jerry Gorski normally does this. There isn't any actionable items for the meeting this evening. I did talk to Mr. Gorski this morning. The architect and the construction manager have met and have come up with some solutions to some of the revisions to the plan that were causing an increase in the price point. And so there'll be a meeting early next week with all the players to make sure that we're going in the right direction. We will be presenting a proposal to the board at the September meeting on what the next step is with the project. That's all I have to report.
Okay. Moving on again to some more, I guess we call very positive news, is that our police officers are multi-talented, multi-skilled, and here's another example of one of those skill sets that I didn't quite knew was in the job description. But Chief, if you can tell us about what that is?
Well, it's Dr. Ralph now.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's in his job description. So I guess he was working, it was early in the morning, and somewhere around 2 or something, and a call came in for a woman in labor in a vehicle. She was attempting to get to Chester County Hospital from, I believe, Phoenixville area. It was originally a West Whiteland call, but it was on the 202 right around the area of 30, where I guess she just gotten on or something. So he happened to be right in the area in West Whiteland and said, go grab it, we'll be there in a second. Well, he got there and it was that second. So he literally delivered a baby and put the baby girl on the mother, and everything worked out fine that we know of so far. He's on vacation for 2 weeks, so I don't know how it must have affected him a lot. He hasn't come back, so I really I can't find out. I wanted to talk to the mother and so forth and see. So we're going to get him some kind of a stork pin or something along those lines, to wear. And so it should be interesting. Maybe at another meeting we'll have him and he can give us a little more about his indoctrination.
What date is this?
What date?
What day?
I don't remember, honestly.
Last week?
Oh, no, it was a couple weeks. Yeah.
Do we know if the baby was a boy or girl?
I'm pretty sure it was a girl.
It was a girl, okay.
Yeah.
So he'll be wearing a pink pin going forward? So
Well-
we can identify him?
Well, that's why I didn't buy it for him, because there's also pewter ones which match our pewter badges, so I don't know whether he wants. You can get pink, light blue, so I'm going to wait till he gets back to order that and
That's cute.
do that. Yeah, I think it is cute. It's something to have. How many cops get that in their life? I didn't.
Yeah, it's great. Great story.
Yep.
Next will be Steve Brown and I guess, talking about the status of our Backton Hill Park
Yeah, thank you, Scott. Zach is bringing up some photos today. Most of these photos are of the playground. The park is coming along really, really well. Work started back in, I guess, February, March, when the E&S erosion and sedimentation controls went in, and you can see where it stands today. This is the playground starting to take shape. This picture was taken from what we call the gathering area, which is, you see the green picnic table in the foreground. That's a central area for families to sit and have a bite to eat or take a break. The dirt you see will be a landscaped area. Then you see the biggest piece of equipment that is out there. That is in the 5 to 12 year-old play area. The stone that you see will be a rubberized surface. Anyway, so that's what this picture shows. Zach, why don't you? This is for all you fitness buffs out there. This is really designed for adults. You can see there's a bike and an elliptical, as well as stepping platforms, and then the other two stations are really lifting and resistance. I think the one to the far left is you use your weight for resistance, and there's lots of exercises that they have on those pieces of equipment, and it's been designed so that adults, when they're at the playground with their families, they can exercise if they choose to and look out over the playground and see their kids having a good time. So let's go to the next.
Can you just go back to that one real quick? I just want to point out one thing to everyone, if you can zoom in. If you look into the background, you'll see some offices there. We are working with the owners of one of those properties to secure a attractive fence that'll be run along there as well.
Right. Yeah, that building that's shown in the photo is actually the one we're talking about. Yeah, the owner's been very cooperative. Yeah, next photo. This just kind of shows the entrance into the park. You can see the large piece of equipment in the back. Again, that's the 5 to 12-year-old area, and the equipment in the foreground, that's the 2 to 5 play area, and you can see some of the benches that have gone in. So yeah, just go ahead, Zach, please. Next picture, yeah. This shows the 2 to 5 area. You can see the big piece of play equipment there with slides, and I don't even know what's all there. There's a small climbing pyramid kind of in the foreground to the right, and on the left, it's kind of a big seesaw, kind of a toy or equipment. Again, benches in this area will have a colorful rubberized surface. This is our toddler area, one piece. That's all right. Should have showed this when we had the fighters here earlier, but sorry, Chief, there's no police car in the. And anyway, so this is the toddler area. And
Hey, Steve, if I know Chris Yeager, he'll end up getting a police car on that device sooner than later. He'll trade out one of those old SUVs. Yeah, you will.
So this is the toddler area. So again, the playground is comprised of areas for different ages: toddler, 2 to 5, the 5 to 12. And what I didn't show is there's also a swing set that will have a handicapped accessible swing, and there's a section with spinning type equipment. So those I did not show. And this will have that central seating area, as well as it will be nicely landscaped, and there'll be some fencing in select locations as well, and the fitness area. So I think there's one more photo maybe. And this just shows the trail. We have a trail in the park that basically goes around the perimeter, and it heads down the hill. As this shows, the tree line is where the Chester Valley Trail is, and we've already made the connection to the trail. So it's really coming along, and it's on track for being completed sometime this fall, early in the fall.
Any idea when the stormwater silt sock at the trail entrance is going to come
out?
Come out, yeah, removed? Just curious.
Yeah, I mean, short answer is when the Conservation District allows it.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah, I think you have to get ground cover established, and this picture doesn't show it very well, but grass is already growing.
Yeah, it is.
Like around
Oh, I
the
know.
playground and in the parking lot, there's
Yeah.
a lot of ground covers already coming in, so hopefully soon, but I don't know, Al, do you have any?
It's got to reach a certain percentage of grass cover throughout the whole site.
Is that right?
Okay.
Because the basin is working pretty good. That was really filled the other day, last weekend. And I hypothetically rode a bike on the trail.
Yeah, the silt sock's going to be the last thing to pull off.
That's it.
I'll add that I know it took a few years to get us to this point. 27, but who's counting? But the Park and Rec Board is already working on a phase 2 to this, so that when the time is right, we'll be able to proceed in an efficient manner and quickly at this point in time. So,
What's the phase 2 going to include? Pickleball here?
Yeah,
Possible.
nothing's been decided, but that does seem to be where the Park and Rec Board has consensus.
Right.
Ultimately, the supervisors will make the decision,
Sure.
but I think we do have consensus for pickleball.
Okay, good.
we're also mindful of the fact that we would want to get this up and running and have people utilize it without interruption of, further construction going on. So, but again, we set up the plans, we'll have it ready, and then when the time is right, we'll be able to proceed. Next is a catalyst update. To recount what occurred back on June 30th, there was unauthorized tree removal in and around the billboards that are located on 202. We've stepped in and prevented any further damage going forward, and we've looked at a lot of other areas pertaining to penalties related to the unauthorized tree removal. And part of comments that occurred on Facebook, there was an application being sent through to send a complaint to PennDOT because part of the cutting was done on PennDOT's property. And I was CC'd on all of the complaints that went to PennDOT. And I can tell you at this point in time, I've been CC'd on residents who put in complaints to PennDOT, and the number is about 47 people have sent in at this point in time. And Peter, do you want to review the contents of the conditions that are associated with what Catalyst had done?
From the memo?
Sure.
Where is that? conditions are a payment of $151,000 for the unauthorized removal and an additional $15,000 for professional consultant and staff fees incurred by the leasee's default, for a total of $166,000 to be paid to the township on or by September 12th, 2022. Whether a use or occupancy permit is granted or not. Kind of a summary, or keep going?
Well, there's 6 points. So,
Okay, 6 months, okay. The preparation of a soil erosion and removal plan in compliance with township ordinance demonstrating how the leasee will implement and reestablish vegetation in the areas disturbed outside of the premises, which with a schedule of the items to be completed and the date of completion. Also, item 3, preparation of a plan in compliance with township ordinance demonstrating how the leasee will remove debris and remediate the area disturbed by the leasee's unauthorized removal of trees, to be completed and by the date of items to be completed. Fourth point, review and approval by township professionals, consultants, and staff of the plan set forth in paragraph 2 and 3. Item 5, implementation of the work set forth plans once approved by the township in a timely manner as set forth in the schedules on the plans. And of course, most importantly, reimbursement to township professionals, consultants, and staff for its fees, costs, and expenses related to review and inspection of any other work related to the cure of the default from the date of this letter. And most importantly, if the leasee fails to make the payment in paragraph 1 or fails to proceed in accordance with paragraphs 2, 3, 5, and 6, the leasee shall be considered in default of the lease. No further opportunities to cure will be provided, and the lease is terminated.
So those are the conditions that we placed on after the event occurred. And this letter has been finally signed by the legal authority with Catalyst. Moving on to board motions and resolutions. Steve Brown, I think we've got a few appointments.
Oh. Question?
Oh, sure. Please, come forward. Yes, sorry. If you're able to talk into that mic so everyone can hear your question out in the audience.
My name is Ann Bell. I live at 7 Mill Lane. I'm one of the people who contacted PennDOT, and they replied to us that there was a violation in terms of illegal activity within the PennDOT right-of-way. And I think there's been illegal activity, clearly, on the township property. And I think it's great that you're on this and that you've given them conditions. But personally, and I don't think I'm speaking for myself alone, I don't know that that goes far enough. You're talking about a 30-year contract with people who have engaged in illegal activity on township property. And I really think that you ought to be looking into every possible opportunity to terminate that contract. I think if the township absolutely must have a billboard district, which most of the residents were opposed to, you can certainly find another company who would be very happy to have a billboard on 202. I know that Lamar tried to get a billboard on Route 30, an electronic billboard, and they were declined. And that would have taken care of the township's complete obligation to have an electronic billboard in the township. So I have no doubt that if they wanted one on Route 30, they'd be very happy to take over the property on 202, put a billboard in there. And frankly, what I really think should happen is that the billboard district should go away. I think that the township has gutted its authority to regulate billboards that they used to have, that there was only one per parcel, that you had to go through a very complicated process. Now it's just a by right use, which seems dangerous to me, especially given that something like this has happened already. And I would like to see the billboard district go away. Frankly, I think that property should be replanted. I think it should be named a nature preserve, and you should name it after Martin, because he's been the one who's really been on top of this all the way along. I think the East Whiteland outdoor people and the Catalyst people have been pretty bad actors from the get-go. This started out as just a reinterpretation of the zoning for billboards on Route 30, from being along the center of Route 30 to as the crow flies. They took every weakness, every opportunity, ran with it. Now we have billboards in 2 places and a really unregulated district. So I hope that you will really think about all this. You may have been given, by this illegal activity, a great opportunity for a do-over, and I really hope that you'll consider it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Just one point I'd like to comment on is that based on the lease arrangement that we had with Catalyst, we've kind of gone to the extent of the arrangements, what they call cure arrangements, and that is part of the 6 conditions that Peter read out loud tonight about. So I think we've taken, and Bernadette, you can comment further, but at this point in time, we've taken the legal steps that are allowed underneath that lease arrangement to the fullest extent.
Well, the only comment that I would make to that is that I think actual illegal activity, and PennDOT has confirmed that this was illegal activity, should change the situation somewhat.
And there's sort of 2 aspects to it. There's the township that has a lease, and then there's PennDOT land. And PennDOT's handling up the investigation, as Mr. Lambert had indicated, and they may take different steps than the township has, and because it's a permit process through PennDOT. But we did indicate these are as Mr. Fixler had indicated, those are the cure items in order for them to cure the default under the lease with the township.
I understand all that, and I appreciate it, but I really do think that actual illegal activity, you should not be in bed with those people for 30 years. And this is before the whole thing started, and it's over an issue, which is visibility of the billboard, that will be an ongoing issue for the next 30 years. So, lease or no lease, I would urge you to explore every opportunity that you have to stop doing business with people who have already shown that they will behave illegally. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ann. So Steve, moving on to board motions pertaining to appointments.
Right. The township is the member, well, we're a part of a intermunicipal agreement with Easttown Township and Malvern Borough, where we jointly staff with people and the solicitor board known as the Uniform Construction Code Appeals Board. It's not utilized very often, but it's kind of like the zoning hearing board, only this is for construction, actual construction codes. There's an active appeal in Easttown Township, and that necessitated us to take a look at who was still active and available from our original membership, and we do have one individual, Mr. Joseph Hedgeland, who indicated he is willing to continue to serve on this board, but we needed to add other folks as well. Mark Moses, who has experience with these boards, recruited 2 individuals, Mr. David Daniels, P.E., and a Mr. Len Warren Jr., who is an electrical inspector, and folks with backgrounds like Mr. Daniels and Mr. Warren are needed for this board because unlike other boards and commissions, the state law requires that they have certain backgrounds and experience. So it's recommended that the board make a motion to appoint Mr. Daniels and Mr. Warren to the board and to reappoint Mr. Hedgeland to the UCC Appeals Board.
Okay. Peter, any questions? Rich, any questions?
No, none. Sounds good.
Would you like to make a motion, Rich?
Sure. Make a motion to appoint David Daniels, Joseph Hedgeland, and Len Warren to the UCC Board of Appeals for East Whiteland, East Town, and Malvern Borough.
Have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And passes. Donna, any public comments?
No, they're not.
John, you want to tell us about the PML?
Yes, and I can only take partial responsibility or credit for this. Got this party started and then handed it off to Steve and to Scott. So in our pursuit of the RAISE grant and all that is with that, the Route 30 project, a colleague came to me and said, I think you need to consider membership into the Pennsylvania Municipal League. The league has been in business for a long time. The township's been part of the league in a limited way. There's a group called the Pennsylvania Employee Labor Relations Advisory Services, commonly known as PELRAS, that helps municipalities with labor relations issues. That's just one of the many services PML provides. But more broadly, as we get into things like federal grants for infrastructure projects, the network and the folks that we meet and work with along the way will open some doors for us beyond Route 30 and beyond the RAISE grant that we're currently pursuing. So I made the initial outreach and then I turned it over to Steve and Scott. They both met with my peer, and I'll hand it over to both of them at this point because I generally know what happened, but I wasn't part of that discussion. So.
I would say in summary that one of the takeaways that I ended up getting is it was apparent that as a second-class township that we are, we're involved with a lot of sophisticated projects. And the entity that we're involved with is a good one, PSTATS, but has a tendency to focus a little bit more on the smaller municipalities that exist throughout Pennsylvania. When we go to the conferences, there are hundreds and hundreds of supervisors in townships where, you know, there might be 1,000 or 1,500 or 4,000 people. So they cater to those folks a little bit more because of the amount of people that are there representing that. Not to say that there's anything wrong with PSTATS, there's not, there's still benefit from that, but we felt as though that perhaps being involved with another group of people, that organizations that are our size, that might be encountering the same scenarios that we are, we could maybe benefit from that through their experience. And so that was my takeaway with the folks that we were talking with at that organization, and felt pretty good about it. Steve, I don't know if you've got any more to add on.
No, I don't. I think you and John summarized my feelings about PML and our joining the league.
It's only a one-year commitment, you know, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I think it will, but and I feel good about it. So,
It's not a bad idea. I attended a PELRAS conference once up in State College on the labor side. I got all my continuing education done, and and contacted with a lot of township people. So it's not a bad idea, and it looks like the first year is free. That's what the incentive pricing plan says. First year discount of 100%. I don't know if we have to commit to a number of years for that, but whatever.
Sure.
We can cover it.
Price is right.
So it looks like we have a question.
Okay.
Okay. Denise, you can unmute yourself, please.
Sure. Hi, my name is Denise Tribuzia. I am the Director of Marketing and Member Services at Pennsylvania Municipal League. I have a presentation, if you'd like it. We don't need, you have quite a large agenda. I think your summaries were great, so thank you so much to Chair Lambert and Supervisors Orlo and Fixler. I will say that our incentive program is right now for the balance of 2022. We're making it so that it's free for your municipality so that you can start to use some of the benefits and start seeing and building the relationship with us. And then it's a 50% on your membership dues for the next year. And then it continues. It's a little bit more each year thereafter. There is no contract. You don't have to sign anything. It's not like a 12-month contract. You can cancel at any time and not renew. But I will offer that, yes, PELRAS, the Public Employer Labor Relations Advisory Service, which is quite a mouthful, is one of our flagship events. And that is with our labor attorneys. We work with Campbell Durant, and that's attended in State College every year by over 500 professionals, HR professionals, managers, elected officials. It's one of our highly attended events. But I am here if you have any questions. I can send along the presentation after the fact. If you have anything that you'd like to ask me, I'm available.
I did have one question that we weren't able to get answered, is that I understand that there's a lot of maybe like regional roundtable quarterly meetings that occur throughout the state. Is that, how accurate is that, and how often do they, are they occurring?
Actually, we have a PELRAS primer event coming up, and we will be separating that into districts. We have 6 districts within PA, and I have the dates here. Our upcoming events, let me pull that up real quick. Give me 1 second. The workshop is going to be, for your area, let's see here, it will be September 13th. It's at the Doubletree Hilton. Oh, I'm sorry, that's in Pittsburgh. I'm looking here at East. Here we go. It will be November 1st, 8:30, 12 p.m. at the DVIT, or Delaware Valley Trust headquarters in Horsham. But we do regional events on a regular basis. We hold different training sessions and offer online training for the Pennsylvania Municipal Codes Administration Academy. So your zoning officers or code enforcement officers can come to different trainings and get certification through contracts that we have with the state.
Is the date set yet for the 2023 PELRAS up at State College?
I believe I just saw it today on the website. Yes, I can send that information. I didn't see it official except for, and I think it might have been a communication internally, but we do have a date set.
Okay, great.
And I would highly recommend our annual summit is being held October 6th through 9th in Pittsburgh this year. That is where you will meet managers, appointed elected officials from every size township, from third-class cities, first-class cities. You'll see and meet a variety of different townships, boroughs, municipalities, and it's a good opportunity to network and meet some of the people that have gone through some of the bumps from different grant applications as well. And by the way, congratulations. The beginning of this meeting was I don't know how to beat it. It was just a flow of amazing, great news. I want to get more people to have a elliptical machine at a park. That's incredible. Congratulations.
Thanks. Wish you were like that every meeting, but. All right, Denise, thank you. And we look forward, I guess we need to make a, Peter, you want to make a motion to join?
I would like to make a motion to join Pennsylvania Municipal League.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right,
We're in.
Great.
we're in, Denise.
Thank you very much. I'll send information and follow up with Manager Nagel.
Okay, thanks. Donna Weichert,
Any comments?
can you give us a little overview on the,
Actually, Steve's going to give the overview on this one. I know it does.
it says Donna Weichert right here.
It was Steve and I and others. But Steve can explain it a lot better than I could.
I'm not so sure, Donna, but I'm happy to take the handoff. Donna's right that this was a team effort. Donna was very involved in it. Naveen was involved in it. John, of course, and myself. And we developed, I think it was John mostly, but developed kind of a specification for a communications consultant that listed our needs, and we sought proposals and received 3 of them from a firm called 235 Bridge, Phoenix Media Group, and Gailey Murray. They're all very qualified and all were good. Kind of hard to differentiate amongst them. But in the end, staff recommends that we engage with PMG, with Phoenix Media Group. We felt that they would be able to provide the services that we were after for both our website and social media and an e-newsletter, as well as issues management and crisis communications if necessary. So it's recommended that PMG be engaged as the communications consultant. The amount of the contract is $50,400 on an annual basis.
Have we done something like this before, Steve?
Yeah, a number of years ago, we worked with one of these firms, the Gailey Murray firm, and do have experience with them. So the short answer is yes. I don't know that they were engaged for quite this comprehensive a list of services. I'm just not sure, but we do have experience with outside communications consultants.
With much success or moderate success from the?
I recall the Gailey Murray times, and there was a few, their value at the time, I forget what the sensitive issue was, but they were helpful with communications in that. Other than that, I don't know if they were contracted to or they just didn't include the basic communications, the website update, I guess, posting that goes on social media these days. There wasn't much of that, so we decided at the time it wasn't worth what we were spending. We didn't see any benefit at the time. From the description of the services that are supposed to happen, it looks much more comprehensive. But I guess the test will be in time and see how much of a difference, what happens, and whether it's visible or noticeable. Anything changes or not. And it's a 6-month term, terminable, then it renews for a year, but terminable on 60-day notice by either side. So, if we're not happy with it, it's relatively easy enough to get out of it. Yeah.
I agree. I think it's pretty comprehensive. I think there's a lot of things that are going on in the township that we want to push out and let people be aware of. The current media outlets, I don't think, are really catching the interest of people, so hopefully this will enhance it. And the fact that they will attend meetings as well, I think is a real plus as far as helping us out, understand what we're doing, and then they can write the copy on appropriate sites. We also have a couple different Facebook pages for different subcommittees that we want to merge together and try to create one identity for the township. It'll drive more folks in there, and they'll have more knowledge of what's going on. So I'm very much in favor of going forward and trying this out.
Looks like it should help, and I'm sure the highlight is likely going to be, it looks like the chairman's monthly quarterly report, up to 3 minutes, total runtime, recorded on video in a studio.
Wow.
So I look forward to seeing that.
Me too.
Does that include hair and makeup, Rich, do you know?
That's extra. Rich, you want to make the motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion to enter into the agreement with Phoenix Media Group for the initial 6-month term, as extended if we agree. Yep.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And passes. Anything else, Donna, you want to add?
No, I think it's a good choice.
Okay.
I think it's a good choice. I think they're going to help out with a lot of the Facebook issues and just promoting us in
Sure.
general.
I see that you're up on the agenda again to
I
talk
know.
about something else.
I am.
Is
on
that
this
Steve
one.
or you?
No, this one's going to be me.
Oh, really?
So this is actually a request to go in contract with ScanDisk for digitizing our documents. For probably about 7 or more years, we've been trying to go paperless in the office so that everything is online. We can access it, through a cloud-based software, and we're going to do it we'd like to do it in phases, and the phase 1 would be to take all the codes departments' work at this time, their permits, their maps, everything that they use, and have that scanned and put into a system. It would include scanning it, indexing it, formatting it, so that we could all just access this online, and it would be a tremendous help to all of us. So it would be taken, the office itself would be taken into different phases, and this first phase, which is codes, which is a lot of stuff, which was in your packet, and it's also CoStar based price, but the price would be $38,838.50 for the first phase of it.
Okay. Question, who would have access to these scanned documents in the future?
So we would have access to it, the staff would have access to it.
Staff,
Outside would
not the supervisors?
Supervisors could absolutely
Could we?
have access to it. You'd have to have log-ons, there's licenses that's included in with this, so you'd have to have a license to actually log in, but it would mean it's just staff at this point. We wouldn't be rolling this out to anybody but staff and supervisors.
Any other thoughts, comments?
It looks like a good idea. I mean, the less paper, the less room we need.
That's a lot of it too. I mean, if you've gone over to the codes area alone, you'll see all the paper that's piled sky high and everything that's downstairs. It's a space issue too. I mean, everything that's going to be scanned in there can then be destroyed.
How far back in time does this scanning process cover?
Well, downstairs is our basement area where all of our stuff is organized, and we're not touching that at this point because it's
Right.
really organized. So what we're gonna do is take the completed work that's in the codes module at this point
Right.
and put that in. And then going forward, as things come in, they'll get scanned right in.
Right.
So we're gonna pick and choose what we're gonna scan because a lot of the finance stuff that's downstairs that has to be kept for 7 years, some of it's about ready to be destroyed. So we're not gonna include any of that kind of
Right.
stuff. So that's why we're
Sure.
taking the department at a time.
Right. About what time frame does the downstairs stuff, how old or how recent is it? Just curious.
Well, some of the
So-
permit stuff, the codes related stuff is indefinite. It has to be kept forever as far as I know. The finance and other things are like 7 years. After 7 years, they can be destroyed.
Do we know from what year forward will be scanned? Any?
We don't know
a
yet. Right now,
guess?
it'll be, pretty much it'll be current right now. Completed, whatever in the codes department that's completed, it's probably been, and Mark might know what's in there, maybe a year.
Really?
I don't
That's
know
all?
if it's,
Wow.
I don't know how old they are over there. Do you know, Mark?
There are documents that extend beyond a year.
Okay.
Part of the problem is we do have to keep the building plans for the life of a building. So that's where a lot of the space issues occur.
Right.
Right.
So this will really alleviate that problem.
Downstairs is where we have building plans for, in theory, every building in East Whiteland. In theory.
Perhaps.
Yes, okay, all right, good. That's okay.
But they'll be scanned. They will be scanned. In time.
And it's important, I think, to note too, that these scanned documents will be linked to the tracer
Yes, I
system.
forgot that piece. Yeah. Yes.
Welcome to the 21st century.
Exactly.
Yep. Another good idea, project. Peter, you want to make a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the authorization of the money to use ScanTech for digitizing the township's documents.
For the amount of $38,000?
For the amount of $38,838.50.
I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Our favorite car salesman is up next.
I'm out of retirement. We should have Rich read these, shouldn't we?
You know what? I think you should. You got to brief him beforehand and let him talk about it.
So this is the purchase of a 2022 Dodge Durango. If you remember earlier, we had 2 of them on order, and Dodge notified us and said that the orders were canceled for all of these cars, the kind that we wanted. And that's when we went and we got the Tahoes. So that was the second group of cars that have been canceled. So they did say that if they came back on, they would give us an opportunity to buy them again at the 2022 prices. The 23 buying year will start in September for them. So the price is going to go up. They're guessing at least $5,000. So they're giving us an opportunity to buy this at the 22 price. So it's basically going to be roughly $5,000 cheaper. We don't know what the CoStar's saving is going to be, but we're promised that it's going down as well. That's our savings money. So we're looking to get another Dodge Durango. It's going to be a black one, and it's going to be ghosted. It will have ghosted letters like you have some of the ones that reflect at night, but during the day they're kind of hard to see. So the one that we bought the last time was a white one that's not ghosted, but it's just a plain white car. as you saw at the National Night Out. So that's what we're asking for, is to get this. We've been getting good money for the ones that we're selling, so the turnover on these, especially this with a black Ghost, it is only going to be about $10,000 as opposed to 12 or 13 for one that it's going to be a total marked car.
Yeah, sure. Well, would you like to make a motion?
Sure. Motion to approve the purchase of the 2022 Dodge Durango from New Holland Dodge Chrysler Jeep through CoStars for $39,213 or $42,860. One of the two.
Well, that's the 42,860 is without the CoStars. The CoStars is
Retail.
3,647, so
Got it.
it's 39,213.
We'll stick with the 39,000 then. Good.
Have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Mr. Marner gets to talk about Norfolk Southern.
Sure. So earlier this year, the board authorized staff and McMahon to proceed with design and engineering for the Patriots Path sidewalk extension along Lancaster Avenue. As part of that, we'll be required to coordinate with Norfolk Southern for any of the improvements within their right-of-way or attached to their structure, so the overpass over Route 30. As part of that, they require a reimbursement agreement to help recoup their costs of any review time, any legal fees associated with their review. What we're requesting here tonight is authorization to send them a letter, essentially agreeing to reimburse them. Once they have that letter, they'll draft a formal agreement that'll spell out the terms of that and I think assign an estimated cost for their review. But this is sort of an interim step in order to just kind of get the ball rolling and begin our coordination with them.
Is there any need to put a specific dollar amount based on what you're seeing, or leave it open-ended like that?
Is the way I drafted the letter was up to $15,000. That was a number that was provided from Norfolk Southern and reviewed by McMahon. My hope is that it would be less than that, but this would be a good round number, I think, to start.
Okay. I hate to send these out with that dollar amounts to max out, so.
Yeah, and I should have put a dollar amount right on the agenda. I apologize for that. So we did put $15,000 in the letter.
Okay. Yeah, it's something I know we want to get through, and this is just a process that we've got to go through, so. Would you like to
I would like to.
make the motion?
I'd like to make a motion to consider sending a letter of authorization to Norfolk Southern to incur and seek reimbursement for expenses related to the Patriots Path sidewalk extension for the amount of, or about, $15,000.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Steve, you're up. John, you're up.
Yes, one of many folks named John we now have working for the township. It's getting a little confusing in here.
Steve, can I stop you a minute? Can I make a motion that we not hire any more Johns in the township for 6 months?
Discrimination.
Oh, okay. Nicknames?
At least he doesn't have an N at the end, or,
Oh, my God, yeah.
oh, it does.
Okay, forget that motion.
Okay. Yes, thank you. Yes, seated to my left is John Matea, who comes to us from the borough of Norristown, and John has a codes background, a long background in working for municipalities in codes and zoning positions, has also worked with a local home builder and has a lot of experience and other types of inspections. And so I'm very happy to have John seated to my left. Probably not as happy as Mark Moses, who is on screen and has been ably filling in. But it's recommended that John Matea be appointed as our full-time zoning officer and code enforcement officer, and Mark Moses be shifted to deputy in both of those positions in the event John's out on vacation and, things of that nature.
I see no problem with that. Rich, would you like to make
Agreed, yeah.
a motion?
Motion to appoint John Matea as zoning officer and code enforcement officer, and Mark Moses as deputy zoning officer and code enforcement officer. Welcome.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Okay.
Welcome aboard, John. It's good to have you.
That's it. See.
Mr. Brown, while you're rolling, you're still up on the
No.
Sidley Trail.
Yeah, this is, I think another bit of good news is the board is well aware, a trail that runs along Sidley Road and Mill Lane that will connect to the Chester Valley Trail has been identified as a high priority. The nearby neighborhood of Spring Mill Farms, there's a lot of support for the project, and in fact, a number of years ago gave us a petition with quite a few signatures on it. We secured a grant a couple years ago from the DCED for design, survey, and engineering. And just recently, earlier this year, we put out a request for qualifications, received 10 responses, and recently we interviewed 4 very qualified firms. It was difficult to choose because with an RFQ, you're not getting a cost proposal. You're simply reviewing their qualifications, and then you get to the cost later. So of the 4 that we interviewed, we felt we would have been in capable hands with any of them. But in the end, staff recommends that we hire Michael Baker International out of their Fort Washington office. They have quite a bit of local experience in Chester County and the Delaware Valley area in trail design and construction. They also happened to be the firm that prepared the plans for the Mill Lane Bridge over Route 202, which is going to be a tricky part of our trail project. They also emphasized their expertise with other structures. Just past the bridge, as you come down to Conestoga, there's a culvert. Again, going to be another kind of tricky part of the trail design and planning. They spent a good bit of time in the interview reviewing different options for both those structures, and I have to say that impressed staff. They also have a very strong working relationship with PennDOT and knowledge of their processes and systems. So in the end, it was tough to make a recommendation, but we think for those reasons I just mentioned, it gives Michael Baker an edge, and we believe that they can provide some cost savings to the township. So it's recommended that we engage them to perform the survey and design work for this trail project.
Peter, any questions?
I would agree. Haven't been on the interviews. They were probably the most impressive of the candidates.
Do they have a preference yet, or a recommended preference on the route taking the trail over the bridge and then up to the Chester Valley Trail, whether it's straight or to the right?
They also reviewed options for that as well. So I would say no, they didn't indicate that there's a preference. There's pros and cons with all of the above. You know, the most direct route, of course, is up straight up the hill, but there are challenges there.
Not if you're in shape.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't speaking to those kinds of challenges,
Okay,
but anyway,
all right, okay.
engineering challenges.
Oh, okay, all right, got it. When we do get to that point, they'll present all three or two, and then
Oh,
we'll
yes,
make a
yeah,
decision.
this will be shared with the Park and Rec Board and the public and the Board of Supervisors. So
All right.
there is a public aspect to this process,
Okay.
yes.
What do you think their time frame is to get to the point of here's the choices?
I don't think we asked them that
Okay,
question.
serious. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not certain. I'm hoping no more than a year.
Okay, I mean, you can't do anything over the winter anyway, so.
Right.
Okay, got it.
Steve, if I could just mention, I was just asking Peter about some of the principles there. I have worked with that firm very closely in the past on a 202 project with trails and trailheads, and Chris Stanford is, I believe, one of the principals that you met with. Yeah, he's excellent. Recommend him highly.
Yeah, I know Peter and I sat in on majority of these interviews, and a lot of good talent out there we're interviewing, so I feel comfortable with these folks. Would you like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the appointment of the consultant of Michael Baker as project engineer for the design of the Sidley Road/Mill Lane Trail connecting to the Chester Valley Trail.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And passes. Moving on to my overdue favorite process request from
Well-
Mr. J.N.
Yes, we are, well, JN 2. Yeah, there's JN 1, I'm 2. We're going to have to get numbers, so. We are asking for a resolution to enter into a maintenance agreement with PennDOT for the work that we want to do at the island at Route 29 and Route 30. It's worded as traffic signal maintenance agreement because they really don't have any, that's a catch-all. So that covers any type of property that a township or anybody would take over, so. It's very basic. We get that done, and we're well on our way to our permit. And later on, I'll be up again. We'll be going out to bid.
And as I say to you every other day, are we still on track for September of this year to get her done?
We'll have a maintenance agreement.
You're
and,
on-
we'll be out
you're
to
on
bid.
film.
We'll be out to bid more than likely in September.
Do you think we can build this and put this together by end of September?
It's not going to happen this year. By the time we go to bid, we get our prices, we get contracts, and get going. It's something we could get started on in a late winter to have spring ready to go with plantings. That's a more realistic timeline there. So,
Okay.
It's been a while, but we're well on our way now, so.
Okay.
John, I'm a little new to this island beautification. What would we have done this summer?
Well, what's out there now is all just concrete.
No, I'm sorry. Fast forward to when it's planted and
Well, we're
looking
going
gorgeous.
for as maintenance-free as possible. It's a lot of
That would
decorative
still
grasses.
be impossible after the summer.
Right, it's decorative grasses, mulch, and we're bidding multiple options for a border because we're not sure where cost is going to be. Whether it's going to be mulch, grass, some stone, pavers, decorative concrete. We have a few different options in the bid doc, so.
Let me be more pointed, John.
What's that?
Let me be more pointed with my question.
Okay,
We're in a severe drought.
yes.
If there was plants in that heat sink of an island,
Mm-hmm.
who's going to keep them alive?
Well, that was discussed, and our landscape consultant, he brought that up, and he is designing it to not need regular watering. We can water if we have to in times like this.
That's
You
more
know, we
to
have
my
the ability to
question.
get some water out there.
Do we have the apparatus to do that?
Yeah, we have our sewer jet, which has a 500-gallon tank, which we can go out there and water if need be.
Effluents out there every day, huh?
Right. We won't
Just
own the
kidding.
system anymore.
Just kidding.
And that'll survive Friday's purge?
Yes, that stays with us. It almost went, but we held on to it, so.
Thank you, John.
Okay. You want to make a motion, Rich?
Sure. Make a motion to approve Resolution 27-2022 for traffic signal maintenance at Route 29 and 30 Island beautification.
I'll second that.
God.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes. Seriously, John, I appreciate, the work that you've done on this. I know it's been at least 2 summers, and then, we had to go through some organizations that get all the permit, but I think it will make a great difference. Yep, super. Okay, and I guess you're back up on advertisement motion.
Right, didn't see that. This is the full name of what that traffic signal permit, bridge occupancy license, but basically we're asking for permission to advertise for this project. So we'll submit for the permits and then we'll be ready to go for the bid.
Sure. Go to it.
I'll make a motion to make a bid for the highway occupancy permit, traffic signal permit, bridge occupancy license or supplemental application and activity, Route 29 and 30 Island beautification.
Right, motion to advertise on that.
Motion to advertise on that, I'm sorry.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and passes. Phew. Zach?
I was just waiting to be summoned.
You queuing it up there?
Yeah.
So we'll move into planning and development here. Zach Barner?
Sure. So first item that actually has anything under it is 7C. That's the extensions of time to render a decision. We've got 3 applications here. The first being the Knickerbocker redevelopment with an extension through October. The school district's amended subdivision land development application for the newly acquired parcel next to the K.D. Markley site. That is also, they're giving us an extension until October 31st. And the Fetters Mill Community Association's conditional use application is extending to September 14th, which is the date by which we would need to open the hearing, and I'll speak to that a little further down here. Happy to answer any questions on any of these in terms of status or anything like that.
No, I think everything's pretty clear at this point in time. So Rich?
Do all together. Make a motion to extend the time to render a decision on LD 13-2021 for Knickerbocker redevelopment, LD 05-2022 for Great Valley School District, the amended 5-6 center, and CU 06-2022, the conditional use application for Fetters Mill Association. First 2, the extension is to October 31st, 2022. The last one is till September 14th, 2022. That would be the date of the hearing then, I guess, right?
Yes. Well, yeah, it'll be the day after technically because the meeting was moved to the 13th.
That's right.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Peter, make a
I'll second that.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So E and F, these are both just authorizations to set hearing dates and initiate legal notices, neighboring property owner notices. The first is for the Fetters Mill Community Association. They're seeking an amendment to their previous conditional use approval related to perimeter tract landscaping and buffering. They want to modify the spacing and some of the species around certain portions of their tract perimeter. So we were actually originally planning to have that hearing this month. We've been working with them to kind of get a little bit more information, a little specificity on what they actually want to do. So they actually pulled off the last planning commission meeting and are now sort of on a new track for next month's board meeting. So we would just be requesting a motion to authorize a hearing date for September 13th.
Peter, I don't see anything outstanding here.
Make a motion to authorize a hearing date and legal notices for amended conditional use application of Fetters Mill to be held on September 13th, 2022.
Can I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We'll move on to F.
Sure. So similarly, just looking to set a hearing date. We are currently targeting the September 13th board meeting. It's possible, as part of the review process and the remaining drafting and all that needs to occur, it may look to push this to October. I believe the October meeting is the 12th. But this is for the county recently updated their countywide model ordinance for the stormwater management. This is all based off state standards. They create a plan for, generally it's by watershed or by county. The model ordinance is required to be adopted by each municipality within the county. There's been some changes in the last couple years that this will capture, and the most recent one I included a memo here that discusses some of the specific changes, but the upshot is we need to update our ordinance. There are a couple required aspects they're really non-negotiable. There are also some optional decision points, things that can be increased beyond minimum standards that the state requires, things like that. So those are the things that we're working through now with Arrow and Solicitor's Office to just refine that. But yeah, looking to move this forward to the Planning Commission, hopefully this month or next, and to then have a hearing before the Board of Supervisors. We generally follow the same adoption process as like a zoning ordinance amendment, so.
Have we seen this draft yet?
So we have a draft, Arrow prepared a draft. It's actually not as onerous as it sounds. There's not quite as much highlighting and redlining as you might think. But we do want to look through some of these optional decisions that we can make. And I think what our next step is to set up a meeting with the folks from Arrow and Bernadette to just kind of run through some of those, and then we can finalize this draft to move it forward.
Okay, then I'll send it around.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Okay.
Make a motion to authorize a hearing date and legal notices for the Township Stormwater Management Ordinance. In accordance with the county ordinances, hearing to be held as of now, September 13th.
You have a second?
Sorry, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes. Moving on, Zach, with some more zoning.
Sure. So we do have a new zoning officer, as you know. We decided we would tag team this one. So I'll start off. I've been a little more familiar with these projects, having met with the applicants over the last couple months, at least these first two.
Let me guess. His first name is John.
It's a really good guess.
Is it? Wow. What a
John 3. John 3 or 4?
Oh, yeah, 4.
All right, so these are two. One thing I'll note right off the bat here, these first two are both for Jansen. They occupy a number of buildings, a number of properties in the corporate center. You can see the formatting is a little different here. There are 2 properties associated with each of these applications and 1 or 2 forms of release associated with each. So, and It's outlined on the agenda here. I can read through it if you'd like. And the applicant's engineer and attorney, I believe, are also here to answer any questions. So the first one is at 40, 45 through 67 and 84 Great Valley Parkway. That's two separate properties that they're looking to connect and create some improvements on. The first form of relief is related to setbacks. The second is related to impervious coverage, where there are some existing nonconformities. The second property there, so the 40 and 84, is a variance for impervious coverage. In each of these, the impervious is, in the ordinance currently, it's changed over the years, is 60%. They are requesting 74 and 68% respectively, and they're both, I would say, about a 1% increase over the existing nonconformity. So I think their application even says a de minimis increase over the existing nonconformity. The second, and I have the site plans if you have any questions. The second one here is for 260 and 280, again, two properties next door to each other that they're looking to, in this case, connect by a driveway and by pedestrian walkway, create some new parking. In this case, they are looking to increase the impervious to 66.9%, where 60 is required and 65.75 exists. This is on the 260 property, and also to allow a less than the minimum 20-foot required driveway setback. On the property next door, which is the real subject property that will actually be coming through the land development process for some of these improvements, they are seeking to allow a minimum accessory setback of 4 feet from the track perimeter. That is for a generator and generator pad, and also to allow the driveway setback to be, or the parking setback rather, to be actually extended. This is an existing nonconformity as well, where 20 feet is required. It currently is 13.9 feet, and they're just looking to extend a few more spaces along that same plane, so to speak. So not really increasing or decreasing the existing setback, just extending the row of parking further. So kind of a mouthful, but the applicant is on hand for questions, and I can pull up the plan if you'd like.
Were both these presented to the Planning Commission?
Yes. Yeah, these were both on the Planning Commission agenda last month. They received favorable recommendations from the Planning Commission.
I don't have a problem with just sending this to zoning hearing board, letting them decide. I don't see any reason to oppose it.
I agree at this point.
I agree too. I was in attendance at the Planning Commission meeting, and the plan seemed very straightforward and an improvement to their office development. I guess I'll make a motion to not send, or we just say don't send?
We don't need to do anything because we're not opposing it, so.
Great. I'm sure Jansen will be happy about that. They're, like I said, they own a number of properties, or use a number of properties, and really a really good tenant, so to speak. So happy to see them be able to use these properties. The next one here is for 14 East Lancaster Avenue. This is a property located sort of at the intersection of 29 and 30, sort of the second property in. It's not the property that fronts right along Route 30, but a long skinny property behind it. They are seeking a use variance to use the property as a commercial parking lot for short-term, there's a bit of a typo here, that's my fault, a short and long-term parking of vehicles, as well as staging for storage of materials and equipment.
This isn't the billboard site?
This is the property immediately behind, like just south of the Catalyst site where the monument sign will be located.
Basic road, quote unquote, driveway behind, connecting the CPA to the pizza place, basically.
Correct. Yeah, it's an old road bed, I believe, actually. So there's existing gravel and pavement back there. It's not real clear if they're looking to do much of improvement of the existing paved area. They did provide a site plan, which is a little hard to read, John, I should say, has been in contact with their attorney, just trying to clarify certain aspects of the operation and what they're actually looking to do on the site, will there be screening, lighting, those types of things. So we do not have that at this time.
So when we last, this is feedback, when we last spoke, you were hoping to get a lot of this information about as far as like the time, screening, a whole host of things. So you've gotten nothing.
Yeah, that's correct. Do you want to speak to it, John? Or we've contacted their attorney. They said they would get in contact with their client to try to clarify some of these things, but we have not received any further information at this time.
Okay. I think it's pretty hard to maneuver on without any information at this point in time. We've got 60 days to move on this.
So yeah, following the date of application, we have 60 days for the zoning hearing board to open the hearing. I'd have to check the exact date of submission, but I doubt it takes us to the September zoning hearing board meeting.
So
John's
it
gonna
hadn't been
check that
scheduled
date.
yet?
It has been scheduled, yeah. So in order to just kind of keep the ball moving and make sure we don't miss any deadlines, we did submit this to the zoning hearing board solicitor, and he initiated the advertising.
And do you know what date what it was scheduled for?
It would be the August 22nd meeting of the zoning hearing board.
Yeah, if I recall, this is the one at the planning commission, we were saying we wanted more information.
Yeah, well, at our original agenda meeting, we did not discuss this at the planning commission
Okay.
or subcommittee meeting yet.
When there's lack of information, even though the application may have been submitted, does the clock really start on that
Oh, yeah.
August?
Oh, yes.
Oh, absolutely,
Yes.
it still continues. Once you apply, submit the application, the clock starts. Yeah. I mean, when cases like this in the past, what we've said is asked our solicitor to contact their solicitor and say that unless we get the information requested or the township gets the information requested, then we're inclined to oppose the use. And that usually gets their attention to submit the information. I mean, it's the skinny lot in between where it's not a billboard, I don't even know what to call it. You know, the fancy board. It will be in between that and the railroad. On the other side of the railroad is pretty much the general Warren Inn. I mean, it's possible that some residences might see it, but can't hurt to ask for the information. If they're asking for a use variance, they must have somebody asking them if they can lease it for a period of time, I would guess. So,
Bernadette, if you end up talking with them, I mean, I've got 4 or 5 things that I would like to have answered. I don't know if you've got the same, but certainly the first thing is, what type of vehicles are how long are they going to be there? What type of screening would occur? What type of visual impact are we going to have, both when you're driving along Route 30 as well as the people that are on Village Way? Because keep in mind, that's a location where there's going to be potentially a billboard monument, so there may be
that's right.
thinning of trees there that are going to be replanted, but those that are going to be replanted are going to be on the smaller side compared to what's there now. So certainly a visual impact is key in my mind to know what's going to happen. And
They're going to need a highway occupancy permit from PennDOT, aren't they? I think so.
They do have an existing curb cut. They actually have a small piece of frontage on
Yeah, it looks
Lancaster
like
Avenue, so I'm not sure about that.
tractor trailers are not going to fit back there, that's for sure. There's
No,
no
yeah.
way.
There may be another way into this portion of the site, though, from one of the adjacent properties that I believe this same property
They'll
owner.
have to go to the adjacent properties, right. I don't know if there's a cross easement, and that's between them.
Right, the description does say I'm sorry, let me just pull this up here. That they would be, oh, here it is. Using some mobile storage containers, so they would need at least a slightly larger vehicle to get in and out of there.
My suggestion would be, it's been advertised for the August 22nd. What would be the September date
13.
for the board, but for the zoning hearing board?
Yeah, zoning hearing board meeting in September is the 26th, and the 60-day, John looked up the application date, would expire on the Friday the 23rd, so the Friday before their meeting.
So I could certainly ask counsel for the applicant for an extension letter. They can, if it's already been advertised, they can open the hearing and continue it on the record to that date, because if we show up and say we're going to oppose this, the attorney's likely to ask for the continuance anyway. If you want to be able to see that information before you make a decision whether to oppose or not.
So we have a question, if you guys are
Oh,
ready
sure.
for a question. Kathleen Stauffer, please unmute yourself.
Hi, my question is like general in a sense, and I'm concerned that this is catalyst, concerned of what they did in up on 202 at the park, concerned about what CubeSmart did here in the township, saying there was not going to be any units, and yet the whole left side is units of storage, of Linden Hall and what they did. I just want to be careful about what we say yes to, because someone thinks this is an improvement, where us in this neighborhood up here in General Warren Village, we're very concerned about what's happening and what, there's so much, I'm sorry. It took us an hour to get on this meeting, and Donna, thank you for all your help. But I just want you to be conscientious. My biggest thing is that I am a citizen of this township, yet I have no power. The contractors have the power. The capitalist group raped that land down across from the township building. And now we're discussing what they're going to do down the hill from me. And if I'm not party to the party, I have no voice. So I appreciate everything you guys do, because there's 3 of you on the board. I think there should be a 5-member board here in East Whiteland Township. But I'm very concerned about what we say yes to, especially the Catalyst Group, and to anyone who wants to build on the Bishop 2 site.
Okay, thank you, Kathleen. So I think we clearly need answers before we can really make a determination at this point in time. I would encourage them to respond to Bernadette and our questions.
And Mr. Orlo may have.
Yep.
Yeah, looking at Chesco Views, the owner of the lot in question is the same owner as the adjacent property where the 2 office buildings are adjacent to the McDonald's. So they clearly would have the right to use the driveway behind those 2 buildings and make it all the way to McDonald's, actually. So I don't know if that's a factor. But that's one additional fact anyway.
My suggestion would be to make the motion to oppose the application until further information is provided, and then when the information is provided, you can change your mind at the September hearing. They may choose not to and say, we'll take that risk.
Is this a decision whether to send you to, this is,
My gut is most attorneys, once they know the township's opposing, will provide you with the information.
Sure.
But sometimes they say, Bernadette, we're just going to run the risk and see what happens.
is our motion to oppose or to oppose and send you to the zoning hearing board? Is that what we're doing?
It would be a motion to oppose unless and until we get information that we can further evaluate.
Yes.
That should instigate them to say, okay, we'll extend till September, and here's the information for you to look at in September in preparation for the end of September zoning hearing board session. Should happen.
Do I have a second on that motion? I'm not going to have you repeat it.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Do I have a second?
I have a second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Yes?
Good eye.
Okay. Didn't hear you. So that was 3-0, Donna. And Zach, you've got anything here on B?
No, this is just a note that we're awaiting the actual written decision on the most recent zoning hearing board application from last month. So there's nothing to review or take a position on.
It's sitting out there oddly. Moving on to number 9. Donna, do we have any public comments from the attendees?
It doesn't look like we have any public comment.
Okay.
Wait a minute, we do. Kathleen Stauffer, go ahead.
Yeah, like I said, we were trying to get on the meeting earlier and didn't have the availability, but Donna, thank you for walking us through it.
You're welcome.
One thing is the beautification of the triangle that's on 2930, that, and I know Peter, those shrubs, something low, something that you can still see what's coming down 29, you can still see what's coming down 30 as you turn on 29, to be very conscientious about what goes on that triangle. You mentioned Norfolk Southern across Route 30. We're very concerned about Norfolk Southern Bridge on Malin Road. We don't want Village Way to become an access for emergency vehicles. And that bridge on Norfolk Southern is like, what? 120 years old. Well, there was so much that you guys talked about. There was something about a coalition of townships that you guys were going to go to, and I know you three work really, really hard. And my gut feeling is to get involved in a coalition out in Pittsburgh, if that's where it was. That right here, we have Willistown, we have Charlestown, we have so many townships who are doing things to save open space and working together. Willistown and Malvern working together. I would love to see Malvern and East Whiteland working together on Warren Road to have access to foot traffic, because you go down Warren Road and there are pedestrians all the time. I don't think we need to send you to Pittsburgh or whatever it was to find out what we need to do right here in Malvern and East Whiteland.
Well, Kathleen, that's just their annual summit that's being held in that particular location.
Well, I understand that. That means these three guys have to go there. And I'm on boards, I've been on boards, I know how much you guys work. I know how much work it is to be on a board. My thought being, unless you're on vacation out in Pittsburgh, I'm all for it if you're for it. But still, at the same time, right here in this little community we have, there are surrounding townships who are doing things to save open space. My last thing too, and I know Peter laughed at me about this, is I think we need a 5-person board. This township is full of information coming into us, of developers wanting to screw us, in all honesty, because Bishop too, from my perspective, I'm a mother of a child who had brain tumors. Bishop Tube is suspect to be part of that. And for a developer like Brian O'Neill to want to build on that land that's landlocked, there's so much in this township. And I understand that, Peter, you weren't opposed in any regard, and that Mr. Orlo, that you came on again the way you did, and we so appreciate that. But I just wonder what it would be like to have a 5-person board. I'm also very concerned when you talk about impervious, that it's more and more increased in this township, but that it is like Little Valley Creek, and all impervious spots are not good for us. I'm getting a little emotional now. Sorry. So that's all. So thank you for all that you do, Donna. Thank you for connecting us, and I appreciate what you do. And that's it.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 10. As is customary, I will read the consent agenda in its entirety. And if there are any specific questions, either from the public or from the board or anyone else, please interrupt me. And item A would be approve the meeting minutes from June 8th, 2022. B, ratify the payments of the bills for June of 2022 in the amount of $748,250.38. Accept the treasurer's report as of May 31st, 2022. D, approve the agreement for township indemnification with Locust Lane Brewery for movie nights for September 10th, 2022, and September 30th, 2022 in township parks. Approve payments number 6 to Miko Construction in the amount of $157,592.70 for the work performed at Backton Hill Park for a total pay-to-date number of $1,168,673 out of a budget anticipated to be $1,488,789. Ratify the signature for Steve Brown, the Assistant Township Manager, on financial security agreement for the Great Valley School District Grade 5 and 6 Center Construction Project. Approve Resolution 26-2022, ratifying the Board of Supervisors to approve Park, Recreation, and Open Space Plan. And finally, to ratify amendments to Mission Square Adoption Agreement as of July 2022. Without any questions, can someone make a motion to approve?
Yeah, just one question. The Mission Square Adoption Agreement, that looks like the 403B plan document. Is that pretty much what it is?
I think she's on the line, so she can answer that.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. So this is pretty much every institution that engages in employer-sponsored retirement plan has to adopt money purchase plan adoption agreement to be in compliance with IRS. So this is part 401A, and by signing this paper, we are agreeing to the following method, like the retirement has to be, the age has to be 65, who can participate in this plan, township manager, director of finance, and all non-union employees. How much they can contribute, if an employee wish to join the plan, he or she can contribute 2, 3, or 4% of their salary, and township will match with 4, 6, and 8%, like doubling that. And also, once he or she wish to leave the company, they can roll over their retirement to other place they choose to work, and their spouse are protected beneficiary in this plan. So these are the methods that we are adopting, and this is 401A, and this is for all, like I said, non-union, director of finance and township manager. So we are agreeing to this method by signing this paper.
So this doesn't change anything that's in place. It just...
No, as I understand it, as you probably know, practicing the business, the IRS changes the code from time to time, which
Right.
causes changes to these adoption agreements for employers. I think we have 4 plans where the adoption agreements need to be amended.
Right.
These agreements have been reviewed by Steve
Steve.
English, thank you, from Bernadette's office.
He's over that, right?
Right, and
Okay.
so they're in place to be approved tonight, or actually ratified. The deadline was July 31st, so we sent in the amended agreements signed, and we're asking the board tonight to ratify those agreements.
Right, okay.
Any other questions?
Fine, no.
Would you like to make a motion to approve?
Yeah, make a motion to approve the consent agenda as read.
Peter, do I have a second?
That's because 2 are on.
Too many mics on.
I'll make a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Passes. With that, I make a adjournment smack. Thank you, everyone.